In this video, we're going to cover how superintendents can create flow in the field. You're going to love this because it shows you specifically your part in how to create that flow, so stay with us. If you've watched the last video, which means that you've liked and subscribed to this channel, which if you haven't, please do now, you will know that I spoke specifically about some key things that crew leaders and foremen can do to create flow in the field. Number one, work in one process flow. Number two, look for the principles of flow. That means that they're on the same plan, they're going the same direction in the same sequence with leveled crews, leveled zones, the same speed and the same distance apart. We also talked about that if you are actually implementing that flow in the field, that we're also preparing the areas with the right key needed resources. And that if you don't have the resources, that's a roadblock that should be reported in the afternoon foreman huddle. So this is all what a crew leader would do to find and create flow in the field. So what is your job to create flow in the field? Well, I'll tell you, it's to enable them to do their job as described in the previous video. So I do want to say the role of a superintendent is crucial. Yes, we live or die by the performance of the foreman, but the foremen only get to do what they need to do because of you. So let me just share a little example, which is in the beginning of the book, Elevating Construction Superintendents. Let's imagine that you have an A-player electrician. She plans her work, she's a great foreman, she's a great crew leader, and she always is there on time with the right information, with the right preparation steps. But what if you have a number of DNF players on the job that are always at the hoist when they shouldn't be, they're always unclean, they're leaving a mess everywhere, they're always stealing the crane, they haven't made their commitments, they don't show up for meetings, and they're always behind schedule. That proficient crew leader for the electrician, she cannot do her job. It doesn't matter if she's an A player, it matters if everyone's an A player. So it's really easy to be good, it's really hard to be good as a team. And so that is your job. The single most important focus as a superintendent is to get the job site, all the crew leaders and foremen to be good together as a team. And so your job is to make sure that everyone sees that plan and that that's visible and easy to reference. It's your job to plan the direction, to plan the sequence. It's your job to help level those crews. It's your job to help level those zones. And it's your job to make sure that all trades are going the same speed, the same distance apart so that they can flow. Now, let me ask you this. How do you do that? Well, I'll give you some key steps on how you implement that in the field. All right, so first and foremost, we must have a plan. So that's step number one. It is your job as the superintendent to make sure that there is a plan. That means a plan for the long term, a plan for the end of the job, a plan for the next 12 weeks, a plan for the next week, and a plan for the next day that everyone can see. And this is why I'm going to mention number two, that everybody has the plan together. There's a phase of teaming which I really enjoy, that every successful team will appoint a leader and they will gather the right information, make a plan, and communicate that plan. Yeah, you can have a plan all right, but if it's your plan, it won't matter much. And your schedule won't even be useful for toilet paper because it's not the right texture. Like literally the only way your plan can be effective is if you made that plan together with the trade partners. They weigh in, they buy in, you listen to them, you made the plan together. Step number three, that plan must be communicated effectively, meaning that you have a couple of ways to do this. First and foremost, your schedule deliverables. You have your master schedule that is derived from a pull plan that then creates your look ahead. I'll symbolize that with a look ahead, which then you create your weekly work plan. I'll symbolize that with weekly work plan, and then your day plan. So it's your job as the superintendent to make sure that your long-term planning makes its way down to the sequence, down to the next 6 weeks, down to the week, down to the day, and that also, from a communication standpoint, must go from your team meeting. And you should like and subscribe to this video because you'll get the complete description on how to do this and run these meetings in the other videos. But you should run your team meeting, your strategic planning and procurement meeting, your trade partner weekly tactical, your foreman huddle, and your worker huddle, so that the information for these scheduled deliverables goes from the team to the project to the trade partners for the next week, to the trade partners for the next day, and all the way to the workers. So not only do you have a plan, but you've planned together with your trade partners, and you've communicated through your schedule visuals and through your meeting system so that you can enable the work of the crew leaders and foremen. Okay, by the way, the video professionals, the videographer said that I had a typographical error, communicated. I told them it's not a big deal, we'll just put a little pop-up here anyway. But just so you know, everything I put on these graphics, on these flip charts is automatically right. You didn't see that, nothing to see here. So let's go to the next page, and I'm gonna give you number 4. Okay, so number 4. Now that we know that I'm an expert speller, number 4 is we need to hold people accountable. So you, as the superintendent, it's your job, obviously with the trade partners, to identify if there is a flow problem, or if the crew leaders have told you there's a flow problem, to go dig in and to make sure that the team is being accountable. And to make sure that we're doing the things that we need to from a contract and relationship standpoint to make sure that everybody rises to the occasion. Through accountability systems, zero tolerance, contractor grading, and making sure that you have a one-on-one relationship with all of the trade partners. Now let's say that you have somebody who's accountable, but they're just having trouble. That leads us into step number 5. Step number 5 is problem solving. And so you are not a full-time problem solver. You want your trades to solve some problems with you, but if there's a delay, you help them to absorb that delay. If there's a problem, you help them with that. If it's a roadblock, you come to work every day like fanatically addicted. Like you're like, I need some roadblocks. Like I am like addicted, like chemically. Like you want dopamine to like release into your system every time you help remove a roadblock, right? So you get to work with each of the trades, not only to make sure they're accountable, but even if they are accountable, sometimes people still have problems. Help them absorb those delays. Help them with those impacts. Help them remove those roadblocks and help them to create flow. And number 6, I want to say that you're, well, actually I won't do number 6 because I'm kind of freaked out about the spelling at this point, but like there's 2 more, which could have been 6 or 7, but there's 2 more things I want to remind you of. Keep the trades looking forward. Keep them planning out ahead. And if you do that as a team builder in your meetings, that's most of the battle won. And the second thing is if they're looking forward, keep their heads up. I love the analogy. I used to ride horses on trail rides. We were literally herding cattle with my grandfather and my mother and father when I was younger. And we used to go down some pretty unstable, rocky, inclined cliffs. And what they always said is if you can keep the horse's head up, they won't fall and crush you and kill you. And I always remembered that. If the horse started to stumble, I would keep the head up, and wherever they were looking is where they would go. And I don't know if that's an exact science, but I always remembered it. And so if you can keep the trades morale up, if you can keep the team built, if you can keep them looking forward, if you can give them wins, if you can make sure that their heads are up and that they're ready to play the game in state and to accomplish this project, that's most of the battle won. Those are the steps all the way through number 5 and these last 2, 6 and 7 of making sure they're looking forward and looking up. If you do that, you've done your part, and then they can go look for one process flow, look for those flow principles, make sure they're preparing, and they can identify roadblocks and report them back to you. So this is exactly what your role is. If you need any help, please let me know. Reach out to me in the description below. You have my contact information. But I want you to make sure that you can do your part for these wonderful crew leaders and these wonderful trade partners. I hope you found this video successful and helpful to you. On we go.